and to introduce you to how our programs have affected members in our community. We hope to inspire an action plan for you to become involved. WACC has many opportunities, from becoming a board member to becoming a committee participant or to donating to our programs. We would like to introduce you to Michelle Walters, who is our director. She's going to kick off our breakfast, warm up your coffee, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you everyone for being here this morning. As Nancy shared with you, my name is Michelle Walters, and I'm the Executive Director here at the Washtenaw Area Council for Children. Thank you so much for being here this morning. A year ago, when we were doing our first annual Washtenaw Area Council for Children virtually last year, that we would be doing this again this year. We did not have any idea that that was going to happen. You know, this last year has really presented a lot of challenges and a lot of great things. So I don't want to miss out on those things too, but we've had a lot of challenges this year, and no one would deny that that would be the case. I would definitely be remiss though if I didn't give us some space here this morning to pause and honor our friends and family and colleagues, even community members of color that have been and continue to be impacted by the racism that exists in our communities. At WACC, we stand with the BIPOC community. We are committed to changing the systems internally and externally and work to empower and uplift the communities that we serve. We cannot and will not ignore what is happening in our communities and in our world today. We all play a role and have power within us to make that change happen. We know individuals that are affected by the deep-rooted systems of racism and oppression. Child abuse prevention is not exempt from that. Our team here at WACC, here and now today, is working to challenge the policies and practices and change the narratives so that we can live in a community where children of all races are safe and protected and enjoy happy childhoods. That's what we're here for, to make sure that children are safe, our communities are supported. Some people ask me, why prevention? Why is that something that we should invest in? Why is that something that you do at WACC? Well, I'm here to tell you that we provide primary prevention services to every individual of all ages, because it ensures that we're doing all that we can to strengthen the protective capacities of families, keeping them safe and helping them to thrive. Every child deserves that, and every family deserves that. At WACC, we have risen to that challenge, and the staff have been able to adapt and grow in ways they never even thought were possible. Throughout the pandemic, our programs and services were still able to reach over 6,000 children and adults directly in their homes or virtually. We were able to diversify our outreach efforts utilizing, email and social media, newsletters, flyers, videos. We all have become better experts at using virtual platforms, just like what we're on today with Zoom, to ensure that we create a connection to the children and the parents and the educators out there, even through a screen. I think that's enough from me this morning. I would like to introduce you to three fantastic individuals in our community, the speakers that we have invited here this morning to tell all of you about the work that we do and the partnership that we have with them. They have all worked tremendously hard this year to make sure that children are safe, that we have a strong community. There's been a lot of pressure on families, a lot of pressures on individuals that we never thought we would ever have to encounter. And these individuals have stepped up, they've shown up, and they have been there for kids. They have been there for families. And we want them to share their story with all of you. Mrs. Hoover is a counselor from Clague Middle School. I have had the pleasure of just recently meeting with her, but she has worked with WACC for years, and I'm excited to have her share her story. Mr. Oden is also a counselor, but he's at Tappan Middle School, and he has been a fantabulous partner with WACC and utilizing a lot of his skills. And Sherri Goff has been aboard for several years at WACC, but prior to that has had other professional encounters with WACC, and she's going to share her story with us. All three have very powerful stories about their work with WACC. So without further ado, let's hear from them. Let's hear their stories. Thank you for your patience as we work through a couple of technical difficulties here.
Hi, I'm Kathryn Hoover. I'm a school counselor at Clague Middle School in Ann Arbor School District. Safe kids, sound community. Safe kids, sound community. It was just recently that I noticed this was the tagline under the logo for the Washtenaw Area Council for Children. As simple as those words are, safe kids, sound community, it actually brought tears to my eyes when I realized that it said that in smaller print under the WACC. Especially this past year, what we have all been experiencing, we all want our children to be safe and we all want a sound community. And that is something that all of us, I believe, can definitely come together on and agree upon. It has been an amazing journey that I've had with the WACC as a school counselor and having the honor of working in partnership with them in their cyber safety program. It's an amazing program that is so needed, helping to keep our kids safe. Just to share a little bit of a personal story and how much I even appreciate this, not just as an educator, what they do, but also from a parent's perspective. Many years ago, I adopted 3 children who were rescued from a refugee camp. And they were brought to the United States and bounced around to 4 different foster homes over the course of 2 years before they came and joined our family. They had suffered a great deal of traumatic experiences that then have followed them throughout their life, that have just been a challenge for them to continuously overcome. And I have um, definitely suffered along with them, just in standing with them through their struggles and trying to support them and help them through their life's journey. I think one of the hardest things to witness as a parent is when my children were subjected to bullying and different situations in school that just knocked them down. You know, here are these kids who already had so many obstacles and barriers, personal barriers in the way, but then to have external things going on in their life to make things even harder would tear my heart out. One night in particular, I remember sitting on one of my son's beds with him as he just bawled his eyes out, and we sat there for like an hour while he just cried. He couldn't even talk to me. When we finally were able to talk through and work through what was troubling him so much, it was some severe bullying that was happening to him at school. So, um, being a school counselor, I have the honor of meeting other children where they're at in their pain and suffering of going through similar experiences, and but also getting to be on the other side of it and helping to help children work through those things, educate children, and helping them learn how to keep themselves safe and be safe, and understand that when those types of things happen, that there also can be hope on the other side of it. I share these stories because, to me, the WACC is that hope on the other side of the pain that comes along with bullying. And I have realized too that, it's easy sometimes to take organizations like the WACC for granted, especially when they've been there for such a long time, right down on the front lines, doing the work of partnering with schools and coming into the schools and educating children. That's how I know them. They're this safe place that I can count on, that our school can count on, and I am so appreciative of this partnership. We all have so much on our plates, and as educators, there's a lot going on each and every day, especially now. If it wasn't before, especially now, as we try to uphold our children and guide them and keep them safe and keep a sound community. The WACC and their expertise with prevention and their cyber safety initiative and programming is such an amazing partnership, because I know that they've got that. They've got that. They come to our school. They've educated all of our students, over 700 of them, come to our parent university tonight, answer questions for parents, and just to be able to do this together, to be in this together, and to know that we have this partnership there and this expertise that we can count on them is truly a gift. It's truly a gift for us educators as school counselors. It's a gift to our students. It's a gift to our families and the community. So I just want to thank you, WACC, for keeping our children safe and for keeping a sound community. And I look forward to many more years to come of the partnership that you provide to us as part of our family in this community. Thank you.
My name is Mr. Oden. I'm the school counselor, one of the school counselors at Tappan Middle School, currently serving as the 8th grade counselor. My experience with working with the Washtenaw Area Council for Children, I think of a few words. I think of organization, effectiveness, engagement, and being well trained. And I'm gonna break down each of these. When working with the Washtenaw Area Council for Children representative last year, she came in extremely organized. They have a top of the line curriculum for cyber safety and anti-bullying, and I was just really impressed on how she would show up on a weekly basis to work with our 7th and 8th graders, and we even ran a second session and did it with the 6th graders, where she would have her assignments ready to go, her activities ready to go, and it was really not a lot of input that I had to, or sweat equity that I had to do from my end. She would come in, she was organized, and she was ready to go, and I'm really appreciative of that. Effectiveness and engagement, that goes right along with the organization of everything. The representative was very effective in managing the students. I was there obviously to support, to make sure that the students were well behaved and things of that nature, but she was very effective in managing the students. Really didn't need me to be present or there to kind of manage things. She had that under control. The activities and assignments was very effective. They were engaging. One of the things that really stick out to me was I believe it was anti-bullying or cyber safety Jeopardy, and students were able to not necessarily compete, but they were able to play this game where there was like a Jeopardy type board on the screen. You could pick a certain category, let's say social media for 500, and then you can answer the question and earn those points. I can't remember if they were in teams or not. I don't believe it was a competition, but I do remember playing at Jeopardy, and it was a very effective and engaging activity that the students were able to do as part of their curriculum. Again, the WACC representative at the time, she came in, she was very well trained, she knew her stuff, she knew the curriculum, she had great ideas. In fact, one of the student-led projects that we decided to do at the end of the 7 weeks or however long the curriculum was, the project that we decided to do was we took on the challenge of doing a anti-bullying video to show school-wide. And this video had never been done before, but I was willing to support and make it happen. And when I tell you that the representative made it so easy for me to support her. She actually wrote out the script, wrote out the lines for each character, and I just had to play as the muscle. I came in, I recorded, I recorded the process, I edited the process, I helped executively produce the video. But as far as like the grunt work, writing the script, writing what each character is going to say, deciding who's going to play each character, she had all of that down pat. So overall, working with the Washington Area Council for Children was a pleasure. It was what we would describe as light work, meaning that it wasn't a lot of sweat off my brow. They came in extremely effective, full of engagement, really well organized and well trained, and ultimately it made it extremely easy for me to support and just be of assistance. So what is the impact of bullying?
People bully to have control over their targets. Targets can feel helpless, angry, and alone. Those who are bullied can develop anxiety, depression, self-harm, or even take their own life. 58% of victims of bullying will never tell anyone what is happening.
I just saw what happened. Are you okay?
No, I'm not. They keep on doing this. They won't leave me alone.
Have you told anyone about this?
No, what's the point? No one cares.
I care. I don't want you to feel alone. Let's go to Mr. Oden's office.
I can't. I'll miss class.
Trust me, this is more important.
Okay, I guess.
Wow. So what are the consequences of bullying?
Michigan law prohibits a person from contacting an individual with the intent to frighten or harass that person. Michigan law also prohibits using a computer or other electronic communication to cause harm to another person. A Tappan Middle School student that bullies could face detention, suspension from school, or even legal consequences if the target is severely impacted.
Hey, Mr. Oden.
Hey, Mr. Oden.
So I understand that you two have been involved in a bullying incident that ended up on Instagram. Do you guys have any idea what happens to students that are bullied? This is a situation that can get you detention. I can recommend that you guys be suspended, or depending on how bad the situation is, it can become a legal issue and the police can get involved. So what I need you two to do is to think about how you guys can make this right.
So what do we do?
Don't judge people.
Be kind and accepting.
Don't be a bystander, be an upstander.
Speak up to an adult.
Just don't bully. Think before you pose.
Ask yourself, will this hurt someone? If yes, then don't do it.
Starts with you. Good morning. I'm Sherri Goff, and I'm a member of the board for the Washtenaw Area Council for Children. I joined the board in 2014 because it was an organization with a mission that I could get behind. As a respiratory therapist for nearly 30 years in the ER in both adult and pediatric ICUs in major medical centers, I have cared for many children who were victims of abuse and neglect. Several will hold a prominent place in my memory, from a 15-month-old little girl with a skull fracture and traumatic brain injury to a 2-year-old little girl burned over 60% of her body, to a little boy that was 3 who died after his mom's boyfriend punched him in the stomach, and also finding that he had multiple embedded needles and pins underneath the skin of his arms and legs, which were only found when having x-rays done. I also had the experience a few years earlier of serving on the grand jury for the county we lived in before moving to Michigan. I had to sit for hours listening to police officers share the conversations they were having online with people who were child predators, while the officers pretended to be young teenagers and preteens. It was disgusting, the things these perpetrators would say in these conversations. When I learned what Washtenaw Area Council for Children was about, I knew I had to get involved. What I did not know at that time was how the programs offered were going to help my own family. A short time after I started with the board, I attended a lunch and lecture program given by WACC. The program was all about human trafficking and how young women are lured into this tragic form of modern-day slavery and abuse. During the presentation, I learned how the traffickers look at social media and watch for signs of kids not being happy at home, and then initiate conversations through messaging the teen. I also learned a lot of other good information about their grooming tactics, and that was extremely informative. At that time, I had a daughter in college and one in high school, and a son in elementary school. My daughter in high school was about 15, almost 16. She was my rebellious one, who thought I was overprotective and old-fashioned, and as anyone with teenagers knows, thought I was pretty dumb. One day, she had used my computer to get on her Facebook account and forgot to log out. I decided to check out her Facebook myself to see what she had been up to. I only had a Facebook of my own, so I could see what she would post and keep a general eye on her, but I couldn't see conversations and messages unless I was on her account, so I did. What I found was that just a couple of weeks earlier, she had been conversing with a person none of us knew. We had had many talks about this and about not going into chat rooms or talking with strangers online. The person she was conversing with had what appeared to be a foreign name. He would always contact her in the middle of the night, and a big clue to me that something was up was that she was much harder than usual to wake up in the morning. He used all the techniques in their conversations that I had learned about at the lunch and lecture, as well as what I had learned in my time on the grand jury. I was extremely relieved that my daughter had finally realized this guy was up to no good, and that she told him to stop contacting her and to leave her alone, which he eventually did. I found that the conversations had stopped about a week or two before I discovered them. This then led to a great conversation starter between my daughter, my husband, and myself about just what this guy was trying to do with her and how badly this could have gone if she did not handle it the way she did in the end. It also allowed us to voice to our daughter how proud we were that she realized this was not right and that she should stop all contact with this man. Our story had a happy ending, but sadly that is not the case for so many others. A few years later, at another event that was given by WACC, I heard a speech given by a person being recognized for their work on behalf of children in Washtenaw County, and she shared about trauma in children. She shared about the new approaches being taken with kids who were acting out with troubling behavior, and how they were learning that this bad behavior was really a result of a traumatic experience and not just because the child was being bad. As I listened to what she was sharing, I had another revelation into what we were experiencing in our own home. The same daughter that I just shared about had been exhibiting very difficult behavior. She was defiant, seemed to think that rules were meant to be broken, didn't care about being disciplined, had emotional outbursts that didn't make sense to us, and had difficulty keeping friends, especially friends we approved of. The woman giving the short talk shared that when they have a student who is acting out with troubling behaviors, they were now looking beyond this behavior and asking the question, what has happened to this person to cause this behavior? What she shared made me rethink what was going on with my daughter. Long story short, without all the gory details, was that she had been a victim of date rape, and the boy who did this had also been very emotionally abusive and controlling. He would escort her from class to class at school and try to tell her what to wear and so on. She never shared, and we didn't find out until 2 years after the fact. The one thing I did know was that her behavior all started shortly after she started dating him. She also became ill within a month after he entered the picture, and she has had lots of medical issues ever since, with no cause ever to be determined. She had been in therapy for nearly 2 years, but had never opened up to the therapist. In addition to her trauma experience, several years later, she was finally diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and with the proper therapy and medications, she is doing much better. She has also been going through EMDR, which is a form of trauma therapy. We have learned that trauma causes the brain to wire differently than it would normally, often causing people to make poor decisions and behaviors that lead to more trauma in the future. Trauma-specific therapy is vital in changing the outcome for these victims. If it were not for my involvement with WACC, I may not have had the exposure to the information that helped me figure out how to help my daughter. WACC and our programs are vital to get the word out and to educate people so they can learn and recognize when something is not right, and then to take action to change things for the better. Thank you for joining us this morning.
As you can see, there are several stories like this that are shared throughout our work that we do at WACC, and I thank everyone for sharing their stories this morning. Mrs. Hoover and Mr. Oden and Sherri, the stories and the power that you have behind your experiences is so important for everyone to hear, and I just thank you for sharing those stories with us. I hope all of you have heard a piece that triggered for you or that was important or connected with you. Susan is throwing a few things in the chat for you to take a look at, ways to donate, ways to get connected with us. If you want to learn more about what we do, check out our website, washtenautchildren.org. See some of the facts and figures behind the work that we do. We're going to take a minute, 15 minutes actually, for all of you to experience and talk with the presenters that presented this morning. And I'm going to set up some breakout rooms. You may choose any room you would like to ask questions, to engage in any conversation, to pop in and out of rooms. If there's one room, there's several rooms that you want to be in and out of, that's totally fine. Nancy and I are going to stay in this main room here. This will be the one that you don't have to select. You can just stay here if you would like to. But there are 3 other rooms available. One that is for asking any questions around Clague Elementary or Clague Middle School and any of the work that's been done like that in the community. We will have a staff member there as well to answer any questions, and a board member. And then the second room is the Mr. Oden's room, the Tappan Middle School room. And we'll also again have a staff member there to answer any questions as well, and any of the other work that we do similar to what happened to Tappan. And then the third room is available to ask any questions around parenting or professional questions that you have. So feel free to choose any room you would like. And I believe we did test this, so you can do it on your cell phone as well if you're joining us on your phone this morning. So I'm going to open these up right now. And if you have one that you want to be assigned to, I can put you in there as well. So feel free to just select one of the 3 rooms or stay here in the main room. That's totally fine to ask any questions. If you have anything that you'd like to mention or talk with us about, feel free to just stay here and hang out with us and have some conversation. So go ahead and select a room. I hope those popped up for everybody. I can only see my screen, so. Give everybody a couple minutes here to get into a room that they want to get into. I think it's good for all of us to just connect even with the professionals out there and see what it is that's happening with students. You know, I had some really great conversations with Mrs. Hoover and Mr. Oden about the challenges students are having right now, and even the parents and the educators. So I think these are really great messages to listen to and to ask questions about. If you've got questions about your own experiences or your own profession, please join those rooms and connect with those individuals. So, and feel free to unmute yourself if you do have a question that you want to ask, or throw it in the chat too.
The rooms are not.
No, this is Sue Crab. I'm not seeing breakout rooms show up.
Let me see here. Are you on your phone or are you on?
I'm on my laptop.
I'm not seeing them either.
All right, let me close them and then I'll open them back up again. Okay, hold on one second. I can just close it. It says wait 50 seconds or something like that. Oops. I have to wait for just a minute here. Hold on. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask right now while we're sitting here waiting for this to count down?
Reboot.
What's that? I know, because I have to shut it. It's not popping up for them. Do they have to select something, Robin? Okay, okay. So Robin said that when it pops up for you, or when something comes up on your screen, you select join, room 1 or 2 or 3, whichever room you want. And I think I have them, yeah. Okay. So let's try this again, okay? All participants have been invited. So hopefully something has popped up on your screen. You may have to exit out of full screen mode. I'm not sure. We didn't have that issue last week when we tried this. Is anything popping up for everybody? It's not popping up for them. Why would it not be popping up for them? Well, how about we do this? How about we just change it on the fly? We have Mr. Oden here, and I believe Kathryn is still here. I don't know. There's been so much going on with.
Kathryn's here. I made it.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that people have an opportunity to ask any questions or to invite comments to both of you and to Sherri. So I'd like to just open it up rather than do the breakout rooms. Let's just do it this way so that we can make sure that people have a chance to ask any questions or to have some comments. So I will open it up. Anyone is welcome to unmute your microphone or throw a comment or question into the chat. Please do that. And I'll just open it up. And Mr. Oden and Mrs. Hoover, if either, or Sherri, if any of you would like to say anything to kind of follow up your videos, that would be great.
See that there is a question in the chat, but I think that's more so for WACC to answer. It's about the curriculum.
Does this, does this program, the cyber safety program, speak to suicide prevention specifically? So I know that Robin is on here and she can definitely speak more to this, but the cyber safety program does talk a little bit about, and we've connected in the wellness and resilience piece. So we talk to students about their mental health and mental wellness and the importance behind all of that. And we also work to destigmatize mental illness. So making sure that students are aware that it exists, making sure that they know that there is help available for them is all very important for them to learn. And so we've interconnected all of that into the cyber safety program. Robin, is there anything you would like to add to that one?
You covered it. I would like to just say specifically, yes, we do talk about suicide in the cyber safety presentation because that is one of the impacts that bullying has on young people.
Mr. Oden, there's a question for you. Were the students who participated in the video part of a class? If so, what class was that? And do all students have access to that class?
That's a good question. I believe it's Margie. Thanks for that question. In short, they were not a part of a class. We ran a bit of a recruitment campaign. So we had morning announcements going out every morning, recruiting, letting students know, hey, the anti-bullying club or the ABC club is getting started. And if you are about that type of work, if you believe in that type of mission, you know, now's your time to shine amongst your peers and sign up. We also had Alyssa, who was the representative for WACC in our building. She would come in weekly for about 2 or 3 weeks during lunch block and actually set up in like a booth or, you know, she had a nice little setup with a table and she had gear and flyers and all types of stuff, anti-bullying swag, cyberbullying swag, content, pamphlets, whatever. And students were able to walk past the table and that would draw their interest as well. Hey, what's this? What's going on? And we would have leaders sign up at that point as well. And then from there, that's when we would take the list from people who've signed up and decide, okay, this student will be a good fit. They're mature enough, et cetera, et cetera. But we were lucky enough at Tappan to where everyone who signed up got approved and was able to be a part of the club because students really took the sign up process seriously and they signed up because they knew that, hey, they were about that work or they were about that mission and they were mature enough to handle it. So that's how we were able to recruit the kids or the students for the anti-bullying club. But also it had become such a cool thing or so popular that 6th graders started to ask about it. So then we ended up running a second session with 6th grade only. So 7th and 8th grade cohort was combined because they shared the same advisory hour where we can hold the anti-bullying club. And then 6th graders do not hold the same advisory hour as 7th and 8th. So we had to have a second session for them. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, Mrs. Hoover, we want to speak a little bit about the program at the middle school there, because is it the same? Is it different? How do students get selected for that one?
Well, this was my first, sorry, my phone is going, hold on one second. This was my first year at Clague, which has all been virtual. So from my understanding, I don't think we've done what Mr. Oden has done yet, but it sounds amazing. And I'm actually want to reach out to you at a later time, Mr. Oden, to see if we can mimic what you've been doing at Tappan. But I know WACC has come into all of our classrooms, which we have over 700 students, and we appreciate Robin Batten so much. Robin, if you can wave and see you again. She is, and I've worked in Washtenaw County for a number of years and have partnered with her at other schools that I've been at, and she just does an amazing job. And one of the things that I love about how she works with the students is that it's interactive. And it's not just her like talking to them, but she gets them involved during the lessons and they work together. And I just think it's so important that they have a voice and that the presentations are really focused on the students and hearing from them too, and what they're experiencing and what their concerns are. So.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that.
Awesome.
You know, honestly, I think it's good even for the board members to hear this stuff because, you know, they hear the presentations from the staff every year, but it's just good to hear kind of what's going on. So there's another question too in here from Megan about, do we provide positive parenting classes or provide resources to parents to help them navigate parenting, and how are parents referred to parenting support? So we don't have anything that's specifically a parenting class that we offer. A lot of that's done through like MSU Extension and a few other parenting resources in the community, like SOS. They provide a program, and the WISD, Margie Long, who actually had to leave. There's been a couple of other programs in the community that do specific parenting, like positive parenting programming or other parenting resources. But what we provide is the child abuse prevention work on the other end. So we talk to parents about the cyber safety stuff. Robin provides a parenting component to that. We also provide an educator component. So making sure that everyone has the same language, everyone talks the same when they're talking to the kids about what's going on. And then we also have the Safe Sleep program that Althea, I don't know if Althea can wave or talk or anything, but she provides the Safe Sleep program and the Safe Baby program, where we talk with parents about the importance of not shaking a baby, the importance and guidance around putting a baby safely to sleep. So we make sure that those services are available to parents as well. Another part of what we do is the sexual abuse prevention work. So we have the Stewards of Children, and that's available to adults, where we talk to adults, people who work with youth, people who have kids, people who come across children, people who volunteer with kids. Anyone who interacts with children should take Stewards of Children, the child sexual abuse prevention class. It is a way in which we can really address what are the ways in which we can prevent sexual abuse from happening to kids. No one ever wants to have that conversation with their child that they've been sexually abused. How do we prevent that from happening? What do I do when a child discloses to me that something has happened, that they were touched inappropriately or looked at inappropriately? What do I do with that information as an adult? And then what do we do as a community about our policies, our practices, and what do we do as a community to support kids around that? So it's a really great program. I would encourage all of you, if you haven't taken it already, please reach out and we'd be happy to provide it to you. If you want to offer it at your school or your church or your work group, or even a parenting group that you're part of, I always encourage, moms groups or dads groups to kind of get together and say, hey, let's take this together to make sure that we're protecting kids in our community, because they deserve it. What other questions do people have out there? Or any staff, does any staff have anything that they would like to add? Something I forgot. I know we
Yeah,
lot,
if you don't mind, I just wanted to say that the Anti-Bullying Club is a component of the cyber safety program, and it's offered to every single school throughout Washtenaw County. It's available. Just exactly what Mr. Oden said, is that we come in and we recruit and get the kids started. So yeah, or they can be selected for the group.
Courtney, Althea, or Susan, do you guys have anything you would like to add or questions that anyone has for any of them?
Just like to add that especially now with COVID and we're talking about being virtual and all the things that are happening, I think everyone is sort of emotionally at sort of limits. It's just really important for all of us to take care of our own social and emotional health, so that we can be more available for children, so we can really have that, expand our capacity to be available for children. And, as Sherri was sharing, just being aware and cognizant of the cues that our children's behaviors are communicating to us, because behaviors tell us a story, that she was able to recognize some changes in her daughter. That's because she was, paying attention. So I think it's just really important that we pay attention to our own emotional health, so we're more available, so that we can understand and recognize those changes in behavior, so that we can attend to our children.
That's a really great message, Althea. I think I even mentioned this to Mrs. Hoover and Mr. Oden, that, even those of us who know the skills, we've got the resilience, we're all having more than we ever thought we'd ever have to balance in our entire life. Let alone all in 1 year. So I think that that's a very important message. Althea, thank you for sharing that. Any other questions out there or comments? I know this is a different platform for all of us to kind of navigate, but I've just appreciated everyone being able to be here this morning. As many of you know, WACC was started in 1975 by a group of very concerned citizens in our community that wanted to make sure that services were coordinated for children, that children who were being abused or neglected miscared for. They wanted to make sure that those services were available for all children and that they were coordinated, that services weren't a struggle to get to, that you didn't have to go over here to get one thing and over here to get another thing, but that everything was kind of coordinated for kids. And so in 1975, those citizens did that for us in our community. In 1982, I believe it was, Michigan's Children's Trust Fund was formed and supported WACC. It was not WACC at that time. I don't remember the name, and the plaque is not right in front of me. But at that time, the CTF supported WACC and the work that was being done here and designated WACC as the local council to do child abuse prevention, primary child abuse prevention work in our community. And so I just want to make sure that we put a shout out there to CTF for all their support. They provide us with a plethora of information. Yes. They give us lots of things to utilize throughout the year, make sure that we're connected, that we've got the things that we need from our legislators, that we can connect with those legislators to make sure that the language and policy and the language in our legislature or the legislation says what we needed to say to protect kids, to support families, not to put them down, not just throw them in prison or anything like that. Let's work with them. Let's meet parents where they're at. Let's make sure we have the supports for them. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that there's a whole system across the state that helps support the work that's being done with child abuse prevention. I see in here, Althea asked a question about, to Mr. Oden and Mrs. Hoover, have you noticed any differences in the bullying at your schools after doing some of the anti-bullying work? Great question.
I'll answer just really quick. I answered in the chat too, but we definitely, especially right after the presentations occur, we did it over a course of two this past year virtually, which was amazing. Thank you, Robin, for making that work. But absolutely more students reaching out for help, just being educated about, some of them don't completely understand what bullying is, what cyberbullying is. So just that education piece, it's so critical. I think to the prevention piece is helping the kids understand. So we usually will see like an uptick in kids reaching out for help with that, which is, I think, amazing.
Last year was my first year at Tappan. It was also my first year working with the WACC. I can't, in all honesty, I can't say that I saw a improvement or anything different in the building just yet, because unfortunately, right after running the program and getting the video out, COVID hit. So then it was like, okay, everybody go home, and we had to figure out this whole pandemic thing, right? So yeah, I didn't have a chance to see any impact or any change just yet. But I do know once we are back to being in the building and we are able to run the anti-bullying club again, I'm going to make it my mission to make sure we see some impact. So now that I know how this whole thing works or whatnot, I'm looking to be bigger and better and louder, and even if I gotta I don't know, get t-shirts with my own money, whatever it takes, we got to really make sure that the students start to rep this thing, and we got to make it something big. It's happened for sure.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for that comment. Yeah. I think that leads you right into, if any of you on here would like to donate to that kind of work to help empower kids to make a difference with their peers, take a moment to text donate to our phone number. I think Susan threw it in the chat here, 734-215-6585. Just text donate, and it sends you a little message that you just click on the link, and it literally takes, I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes to do. It's super easy. Feel free to check out our website if you want to know more information. I encourage you to do that. We love everyone's support. We could not do this work without all of you. Our staff, I know, are well connected into our community and are super busy all the time. But please reach out to them. Please make sure you connect with them if you have further questions. With that, I am going to turn it over to Robin.
All right. I would like to say thank you all so much for being here. I would like to, excuse me, especially thank Mr. Oden, Ms. Hoover, and Sherri Goff for sharing their stories. I hope that through listening to their stories, you understand how important it is to teach our kids about cyber safety and bullying. and all the other issues that comes along with that. I would like to say this is, of course, a child abuse prevention program. Throughout all of our programs, the same message is there, prevention. I like that Kathryn Hoover highlighted, safe kids, sound community. And that's where it counts, right, with our kids. And Mr. Oden, that effort with the anti-bullying club, along with Alyssa Newsome, who is not with us now, but we so appreciate her being with us and participating with the video. I was hoping that she would be here today, but she's not. I would like to say that during the time of the pandemic, there has been an uptick of all of the issues that we talk about. The cyberbullying, the sexting, the online predator cases have been reported to the Center for Missing and Exploited Children has doubled. So that is incredible. And I'm quite sure there's many other stories out there. And of course, we have seen an increase of anxiety, depression, and stress among our young people during the pandemic. And so that is definitely a part of our conversation with the Cyber Safety and the Wellness and Resilience Program. I just appreciate everyone being here, the staff, Althea and Courtney and Susan, and of course, Michelle, and all the effort that's put in and all the things that we do, the board, I can't name them all, but just the board being a part and just supporting our efforts. So please stay connected to us. You're more than welcome to reach out to any of our programs if you feel a need, to have that for your families. And we also, someone asked about parent programming. The Cyber Safety does provide programming for parents, not just the students. So it's parents and youth serving professionals and others in the community. And we are very thankful for the opportunity that all of the school districts in Washington County has given us. So thank you.
Thank you all for being here today and joining us in our office. We're so thankful that we're both vaccinated and can sit this close together. But we just appreciate everyone's continued support. If you'd like to join our newsletter mailing list, please check that out on our website. If you go to washtenaw.children.org, there will be a little box that'll pop up and you can join our mailing list. If you want to just send an email, feel free to send an email to Michelle@washtenaw.children.org. I'm happy to get you on the list. We would like to stay connected with all of you, so please make sure you do that and stay connected. Nancy, thank you for being here with me this morning. Susan, thank you for being here this morning. She's just right over on the other side, and Robin's in the back office. And also to Althea, Courtney, and our interns and our other volunteers that are on this morning. I just appreciate working with all of you and being here with you this morning. Let's make sure that kids have a happy and healthy childhood and they get to celebrate each day and be loved each day. Thank you all for everything and have a wonderful day.
Oh, Michelle, I just want to say that we have a drawing for gift cards that I neglected to mention. So everyone that attended today is a part of that drawing, and we will contact you if you are a winner. So thank you.
Thank you for mentioning that, Robin. I totally.
I do too.
We have gift cards and we have 3 baskets. So to make some pancakes and that kind of stuff. So thank you for reminding us of that. Thanks everybody and enjoy your day.
Have a great day.
Thank you.